I have to get to Lil Nas X, someone who I didn't know existed until a few days ago when he engaged in a satanic publicity campaign that I guess sort of worked because it caught my attention. It caught a lot of other people's attention. Lil Nas X, who is a rapper, is releasing Satan shoes. 666 individually numbered pairs of Nike Air Max 97s that were modified by the company MSCHF Mischief. Okay, I got it. They'll be going for over $1,000 beginning March 29th. Your mind must be truly warped by the devil if you're willing to pay $1,000 for a pair of running shoes, but there are other issues at play here. First things first. If you embrace Satan, who is a real person, you will burn in hell for eternity. Hell, which is a real place. We should establish that. People are going to joke about this and say, oh, here goes Michael. He's talking about some crazy religious stuff. I'm not. I'm just bringing you the facts. And facts don't care about your feelings, as my colleague here loves to say. Satan is a real person. Antonin Scalia joked about this when he was talking to a New York Magazine interviewer a number of years ago. She was mocking him for believing in the devil. He said, most people in history have believed in the devil. Most of America believes in the devil. Many more intelligent people than you or I have believed in the devil. So don't do that. If you play around with this stuff, even if you think it's funny, it's not, and you're really putting yourself in a lot of trouble. It's all fun and games until the devil's eating your soul for eternity. Beyond the outrage, though, is there something that we can learn from Lil Nas X? Is there something, once we tone down the outrage for a second, what is this really saying? What can we learn about this for our culture? I think there's actually quite a lot there. Lil Nas X is putting out the devil shoes that are numbered 666 pairs for $1,000 each. They include a drop of human blood in it. Not great. He's doing this in conjunction with a song that he's releasing, in which he describes his sexual desires. Turns out he's gay, and he came out and he says he's homosexual, and where he's jiggling around for the devil and giving him a lap dance and things like that. So I'm going to tamp down the outrage for a second and say, Nike is denying any involvement with this. It would seem that Nike's statement is that this company, Mischief, along with Lil Nas X, just kind of bought retail shoes and then redesigned them. Is that true or not? I don't know, but Nike's saying we don't want anything to do with this. And no matter how woke your company gets, even a company like Nike, it would seem to me unlikely that one of their corporate executives thought, yeah, I know the way that we're going to make a lot of money. We're going to embrace the devil and put human blood in our shoes. I think that's a bridge too far even for Nike. Second of all, Lil Nas X is not the first Satanist in entertainment. He's not even the first popular black entertainer who's embraced Satanism. Sammy Davis Jr., one of the great tap dancers and singers, famous for the Rat Pack, famous 20th century entertainer. He was an actual Satanist for some time. He eventually left and he converted to Judaism, but he joined the Church of Satan. He even made a sitcom pilot about Satanism called Poor Devil. Take a listen.
Oh. Hello, furnace room. Sammy speaking.
Sammy, this is Chelsea.
Hi, baby.
You remember the man that you've been watching? The one that you keep insisting is a hot prospect?
Yeah?
Well, I've got him here on the monitor, and you were right.
Really?
He's exactly what you've been waiting for. Can you come up right now?
Oh, honey, if I come up there now and Lucifer catches me, I'm going to be in all kinds of trouble.
Oh, honey, you can't get in more trouble than what you are right now. Come on up, Sammy.
You're right. See ya.
So it gets even weirder. There's pentagrams in the show and everything. People don't forget this. They think about the 50s and the 60s. They think, that time when America, it had all this very bourgeois morality and all these nice suburbs and everything. And, one of America's most beloved entertainers was a one-eyed Satanist. It kind of cuts against a lot of what we're told. It's amazing because we're told it was an ableist time. We're told it was a racist time. We're told it was an extremely Christian time. And yet one of America's most beloved entertainers, a black one-eyed Satanist. He eventually got out of it, though. So Obviously, they're releasing this now during Holy Week. We're now approaching Easter. Lil Nas X is doing this for publicity, no question. However, I watched the video, and I think the video is actually somewhat interesting. In the video, Lil Nas X is in the Garden of Eden, and then he goes up to heaven, and then he goes down to hell. He actually glides a stripper pole down to hell and starts twerking on Satan's face. He is not condemned to hell. He freely chooses hell. And even beyond that, we have to realize that in the garden, he is depicted as being tempted by the devil. So even that free choice is conditioned by sin. So you have to ask, well, how free was he really able to do it? You know, you and I, we try to resist temptation and we fail. On and on and on we fail. Hopefully we get a little bit better at it, but we still fail because we're human. We have a broken nature. So it's very interesting here. It's not the judgmental people in heaven, though there are judgmental people depicted, who force him down to hell. He freely chooses hell, at least in his own mind, even though he has been tempted very clearly by the devil. Is he really free? Then he gives a lap dance to Satan, and then he kills the devil and puts the devil's horns on himself. There is nothing new under the sun, as you know, and this is not some new work of art that's come out. This is really, in a way, it seems to me, a hip-hop modern retelling of Paradise Lost by John Milton. Famous line in Paradise Lost where the character of Satan is presented in a sort of sympathetic way, and Satan, when he's thrust down into hell, he embraces hell. He sort of makes a free choice for hell. Very famous lines. He writes, "Farewell, happy fields, where joy forever dwells. Hail, horrors. Hail, infernal world. And thou, profoundest hell, receive thy new possessor," me, Satan, "one who brings a mind not to be changed by place or time. The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. What matter where, if I be still the same, and what I should be all but less than he whom thunder hath made greater, God? Here at least we shall be free. The Almighty hath not built here for his envy, will not thrive us hence. Here we may reign secure, and in my choice to reign is worth ambition, though in hell." There is a lot here. I think actually the Lil Nas music video makes a lot of sense in our present political climate, especially with what the left is pushing, but even with what some portions of the right is pushing. One of the more provocative elements in Milton's Paradise Lost is that Satan reads kind of like what you might call a classical liberal, at least in the way that sort of we understand that term now. He reads as a guy who values his will and his ambition and his choice, even if he thinks it's a free choice, but maybe it's not a totally free choice. He values that over what is true and what is good and what is actually beautiful. He says, well, I've got my mind, so I can make a hell of heaven or heaven of hell. Me, I'm going to choose it. The reality doesn't really matter. It's just my mind, my will, my desires, my appetite. That's what matters. This is, sure, you can have this as a logical conclusion of leftism. You can have this as a logical conclusion of individualism too. It's why you're seeing this right now sort of collapsing on the right. Of the last 10 or 20 years, it's become fashionable to reduce all of conservative thought to, I want to do whatever I want to do, and I want to follow whatever desires I want, and darn it, that's my right, that's freedom. That's not real freedom. None of the serious thinkers about freedom, liberty, have ever thought that. Certainly our founding fathers didn't think that. There is a difference between liberty and licentiousness. You cannot really make heaven into hell or hell into heaven, but your mind can become so perverted and so self-obsessed and so prideful that you would prefer, that you would feel heaven to be hell because of how disordered your desires and your perception has become. That is the risk that we're in for society right now. It's why I think actually this Lil Nas video, which is satanic, so it's bad. I'm not encouraging it, but it's why it actually does have something rather interesting to say about our politics. And hopefully, through providence, we can, evil things can be turned toward good. Hopefully, we can learn some lessons from this terrible video, especially during Holy Week. It's why it was released. We sing the Easter antiphon. We sing, "O happy fault that won for us so great, so glorious a Redeemer." Christians celebrate even the fall of mankind, which was evil and bad in and of itself, but God turns it to good, and it gives us our great and glorious Redeemer. So that's why we call it a happy fault. Perhaps we can see these things that can be turned to good and take that good turn when we can find it. If you enjoyed that break from disinformation, historical revision, and screaming about the end of the world, be sure to hit the subscribe button so that you never miss another video.